It's a strange thing about life. We all want to be happy, productive, and successful, yet we keep feeding the very habits that steal those things from us. You say you want peace, but you start your day scrolling through chaos. You say you want confidence, but you surround yourself with people who doubt you. You say you want growth, but you keep watering weeds instead of seeds. Every day, there's a quiet battle happening inside you, between the habits that build you and the habits that break you. And whichever side you feed wins. Breaking bad habits isn't about sudden transformation or overnight miracles. It's about taking control of what you repeatedly do. Because what you do daily, not occasionally, defines who you become permanently. You see, negative habits are comfortable thieves. They don't steal your life all at once. They take it inch by inch. A wasted hour here, a bad decision there, a moment of self-doubt that turns into a lifestyle. But here's the good news. If you created the habit, you can also replace it. You can't just remove a bad habit. You must replace it. Replace complaining with gratitude. Replace procrastination with progress. Replace negativity with purpose. Because nature hates a vacuum. If you don't fill that space with something good, something worse will take over. Change begins the moment you stop saying, "That's just how I am," and start saying, "That's not who I want to be anymore." The people who transform their lives aren't born disciplined. They build discipline through small, intentional choices. One positive action at a time. One decision at a time. And soon, those actions become your new identity. The question isn't, can I change? It's, will I choose to change? Because the life you want is waiting right on the other side of your habits. Most people live their lives trying to fix the results instead of the roots. They want better outcomes, but they refuse to face what's causing the problem in the first place. You can't change what you won't confront, and until you look your habits in the eye and admit what's really holding you back, nothing changes. Awareness is the beginning of all transformation. It's the moment you stop lying to yourself and start seeing things as they really are, not as you wish they were. Every bad habit starts as a small compromise. You tell yourself it's just one time, just one distraction, just one excuse. And before you know it, that small decision becomes your daily routine. The dangerous thing about negative habits is how quietly they take control. They don't announce their arrival. They creep in slowly, comfortably, until they start running your life from the background. The first victory isn't quitting the habit. It's realizing that it's there, realizing how it controls your emotions, your time, your energy, and your direction. Most people never win that first battle because they're too busy defending their habits instead of questioning them. They say things like, "That's just who I am," or "It's not that bad." But that kind of denial is what keeps you stuck. The truth is, awareness feels uncomfortable because it exposes the parts of your life that you've been avoiding. It shines a light on the gap between who you are and who you could be, and that's why most people look away. But those who dare to face it gain the power to change it. When you become aware, you start to notice the small patterns that lead to big problems. You notice how procrastination starts with one, "I'll do it later." How negativity grows from one complaint. How self-doubt begins with one moment of hesitation. You start to connect the dots between your habits and your outcomes. You realize your lack of focus isn't bad luck, it's a habit. Your stress isn't permanent, it's a pattern. And that moment of realization is the turning point. Because what you can see, you can change. Awareness gives you choice. Before awareness, you're a prisoner of your routines. You react without thinking. You do things automatically, driven by comfort and emotion. But once you become aware, you start to pause. You start to question. You start to notice that every time you scroll for an hour, it costs you a piece of your dream. Every time you complain, you reinforce a mindset that keeps you small. Every time you give in to a bad habit, you trade long-term peace for short-term pleasure. Awareness doesn't immediately erase the habit, but it breaks the spell. It gives you control over what used to control you. The key is to observe yourself without judgment, but with honesty. Don't condemn yourself for your bad habits. Study them. Understand what triggers them when they appear and why you run back to them. Awareness is like turning on the lights in a dark room. Suddenly, you can see what's been tripping you up all along. And once you see it clearly, you can finally choose a different way to live. Change doesn't always require a massive breakthrough or a dramatic life overhaul. Most of the time, transformation hides inside the small, ordinary moments, the tiny shifts that seem too simple to matter, but quietly redirect the entire course of your life. Replacing one negative action with one positive one might sound insignificant, but that's exactly how momentum is built. You don't flip your life overnight. You tilt it 1 degree at a time. And those degrees compound into a completely different direction. It's easy to underestimate the power of small shifts because they don't come with applause or instant results. You stop hitting snooze and wake up 10 minutes earlier. You choose to read instead of scrolling. You decide to respond calmly instead of reacting in anger. None of these moments feel world-changing in isolation, but they create ripples that grow stronger with consistency. The truth is, every small positive action you take is a vote for the person you're becoming. Every time you replace a bad habit with a good one, you weaken the hold of the old identity and strengthen the foundation of the new one. Negative actions feed weakness. They disguise themselves as comfort, that extra hour of sleep, that quick distraction, that small excuse. But what they really do is slowly drain your power to choose. Positive actions, on the other hand, build strength. They might be uncomfortable at first, but they give you back control. The moment you choose something better, even in the smallest way, you reclaim authority over your future. Change doesn't start with perfection, it starts with direction. You don't need to quit every bad habit overnight. You just need to interrupt the pattern. Replace self-criticism with gratitude. Replace overthinking with one small action. Replace complaining with reflection. Replace fear with curiosity. The mind begins to rewire itself every time you make a different choice. And soon, what once required effort becomes automatic. The human brain is designed to adapt, it just needs new instructions. Those instructions are written through repetition, not resolution. The beauty of small shifts is that they're achievable. They don't require superhuman effort, just awareness and intention. You can't build a new life if you keep waiting for a surge of motivation or a perfect moment. You build it by doing something slightly better today than you did yesterday. That's how progress feels slow but becomes unstoppable. Every positive action you repeat becomes a new standard, and that new standard silently raises your entire life. Small shifts compound like interest. One glass of water instead of soda doesn't matter today, but over time, it rewires your discipline. 10 minutes of journaling doesn't change your life tonight, but over weeks, it changes your clarity. Replacing 1 hour of complaining with 1 hour of creating doesn't just change your day, it changes your direction. It's not about doing everything, it's about doing something consistently. Because one small positive choice has the power to transform not just your habits, but your entire trajectory. Most people wait to feel ready before they act, but that's why they stay stuck. Motivation is a spark. It's loud, it's exciting, but it fades just as quickly as it comes. Discipline, however, is the fire that keeps burning long after the excitement disappears. Lasting change doesn't come from feeling good. It comes from doing what's right even when you don't feel like it. The people who win in life aren't always the most talented, the most inspired, or the most motivated. They're the ones who show up anyway. There will be days when your energy is low, when your mood is off, when the dream feels distant. On those days, motivation won't come to rescue you, but discipline will remind you of your commitment. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel, it asks what you promised yourself. It's that quiet voice that says, do it anyway. Every time you act in discipline instead of emotion, you build strength. You train your mind to obey your purpose, not your feelings. And that shift is where true growth begins. Motivation is about emotion, but discipline is about identity. Motivation says, I wanna. Discipline says, I am the kind of person who does. When you start to see yourself as someone who keeps their word, someone who follows through no matter what, you stop needing external fuel. You start running on internal power. And that's when your habits stop depending on how you feel and start depending on who you are. Most people lose momentum because they think discipline is punishment. It's not. Discipline is freedom disguised as effort. It frees you from regret, from inconsistency, from the chaos of always starting over. Motivation might make you start, but only discipline keeps you going when the results are invisible, when no one is clapping, when quitting feels easier than continuing. Discipline is doing what needs to be done long enough for success to catch up. Every great achievement is built on thousands of ordinary discipline moments. The writer who finishes the book, the athlete who wins the medal, the entrepreneur who builds the company. None of them felt motivated every day. They just refused to let their feelings decide their effort. The difference between those who make progress and those who don't isn't inspiration, it's consistency. When you choose discipline, you choose progress over perfection. You accept that you won't always feel like it, but you'll always do it. You stop chasing moods and start creating movement. You stop waiting for the right time and start making the time right. Every disciplined act, no matter how small, is proof that you're in control of your life. Motivation might start the journey, but discipline makes sure you reach the destination. And once discipline becomes your way of life, success stops being a question of if and starts becoming a matter of when. Everyone wants to change their life, but very few want to do what it actually takes. They chase motivation like it's magic, waiting for the perfect burst of energy to get started. But motivation is temporary. It comes and goes like the weather. Some days you feel unstoppable, and other days you can barely move. If your progress depends on how you feel, you'll never build anything lasting. Lasting change doesn't come from feeling good. It comes from doing what's right, even when you don't feel like it. That's the difference between people who dream and people who achieve. One waits for a mood, the other builds a mindset. Discipline is the quiet force that turns effort into excellence. It's not flashy, it's not exciting, but it's the reason ordinary people do extraordinary things. Motivation wants to feel inspired. Discipline just wants to get it done. Motivation listens to emotion. Discipline listens to commitment. Every time you choose to act despite the resistance, you train your mind to serve your purpose instead of your comfort. The moment you stop asking, do I feel like it? And start saying, I'll do it anyway, you begin to rewrite your identity. The truth is, discipline isn't natural. It's built. It's forged in the moments you want to quit but don't. It's created when you wake up early, stay consistent, and keep showing up even when there's no visible progress. Discipline doesn't reward you instantly, it rewards you eventually. That's why so many people give up too soon. They're addicted to quick results, not lasting growth. But those who keep going, who stay steady, discover something powerful. The more disciplined you become, the less you rely on willpower. What was once difficult becomes automatic. What once required effort becomes a habit. Discipline is the bridge between goals and results. You can have the best plan, the strongest vision, and the greatest intention, but without discipline, none of it matters, because life will always test you. There will be mornings when you feel tired, evenings when you feel discouraged, moments when the old habits whisper louder than your goals. And in those moments, you don't need motivation. You need a decision. You need to remind yourself why you started and keep moving forward, one small action at a time. Discipline is the ultimate act of self-respect. It's proving to yourself that your word means something. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about saying, I may not control how I feel, but I control what I do. And that simple truth separates the achievers from the dreamers. Because the world doesn't reward intentions. It rewards follow-through. Every disciplined choice compounds over time, creating strength, confidence, and freedom. And when discipline becomes your way of life, you no longer wait for the right moment. You create it every single day. Your environment is not just a backdrop to your life. It's a silent architect shaping everything you do, think, and become. You may believe your habits come purely from willpower or motivation, but the truth is most of your actions are reactions to what surrounds you, the people you talk to, the places you spend time in, the energy you allow around you. All of it writes the script for your behavior. If you live in an environment that feeds negativity, distraction, or laziness, you'll eventually mirror it, no matter how strong your intentions are. Change doesn't begin with willpower alone. It begins with rearranging the world around you to support the person you want to become. Every environment carries an energy. Some environments inspire you, others drain you. When you walk into a room filled with ambition, you feel challenged to rise. When you surround yourself with excuses, your standards start to drop without you even noticing. That's the subtle power of influence. It doesn't demand your permission, it quietly rewires your habits. You start adopting the tone, mindset, and pace of the people closest to you. If you spend time around people who complain, you start to complain. If you spend time with those who take action, you start to move. You become a reflection of the energy you consistently expose yourself to. Routines are also part of your environment, the invisible framework that dictates how your days unfold. If your mornings begin in chaos, your mind will follow the same pattern. But if your space and schedule are designed with intention, your habits naturally align. That's why discipline becomes easier when your environment is built for it. The gym bag that's ready the night before, the workspace that's clean and inviting, the phone that's kept away from your focus zone. These aren't small details, they're silent reinforcements of your commitment. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Energy is the final layer, the unseen force that determines your emotional state. Some people radiate drive, positivity, and purpose. Others drain you with doubt, drama, and negativity. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with someone or in a certain place. That feeling is feedback. Protect your space like your future depends on it, because it does. You can't grow in an environment that keeps pulling you backward. You can't stay focused in a space filled with noise. You can't stay inspired when surrounded by those who don't believe in what you're building. Transformation isn't just about changing yourself. It's about changing what influences yourself. Rearrange your surroundings, choose your circle wisely, design your routines with purpose, and guard your energy with intention. Because your environment is either your greatest ally or your quietest enemy. And every day it's shaping who you're becoming without saying a single word. Perfection is the dream that keeps most people from ever beginning. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect mindset. And while they wait, life keeps moving. The truth is success was never built on perfection. It was built on momentum. The ones who win aren't flawless. They're resilient. They slip, they fall, they fail, but they refuse to stay down. Every setback becomes a setup for growth because they understand that progress isn't about getting it right every time. It's about refusing to quit when it goes wrong. Momentum is the hidden force that separates dreamers from doers. Once it starts, it becomes harder to stop. Every small action fuels the next. Every tiny win builds confidence. Every lesson from failure creates wisdom. Most people underestimate the power of getting started and overestimate the need to be perfect. You don't need to be brilliant to make progress. You just need to move. Because movement creates clarity. The first step always looks uncertain, but once you take it, the next one reveals itself. The pursuit of perfection is a trap. It convinces you that anything less than flawless isn't worth doing. But perfection doesn't build character. Struggle does. Discipline does. Consistency does. The ones who master their craft are the ones who kept showing up when no one was watching, when it wasn't exciting, when it wasn't easy. They didn't wait to feel ready. They created readiness by acting. They understood that the journey isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about learning how to recover from them faster each time. Momentum has its own energy. When you keep moving, you attract opportunities, you gain confidence, and you start seeing possibilities where you once saw problems. Even the smallest action taken consistently is more powerful than the greatest plan never started. A 10-minute workout beats an unstarted gym membership. One page written beats 1,000 unwritten ideas. One genuine effort today can build a foundation that perfection could never achieve. Momentum compounds. It starts slow, but once it builds, it becomes unstoppable. When you chase perfection, every mistake feels like failure. When you build momentum, every mistake becomes feedback. That simple shift in mindset changes everything. The moment you stop seeing setbacks as proof that you're not good enough and start seeing them as part of growth, you unlock your true potential. Success doesn't belong to those who never fall. It belongs to those who learn how to rise again and again. The secret is to focus on direction, not flawlessness. You don't need to have it all figured out to take the next step. You just need to keep moving forward with intention. Each effort, each retreat, each small victory adds to your momentum until one day you look back and realize how far you've come. The road was never perfect, but it was powerful because you never stayed down.